Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys enjoyed my little intro. I'm feeling more and more creative, it seems. Ignore the Yankees hat, by the way. People think I support the Yankees, but I don't like baseball. And to me, it's just a hat that covers my ears all the way. So, let's get into today's video of what I think I've had a sort of pretty deep realization about the cycle of this place, of this realm, and our relationship to the world and to others. So, the first lesson of love, of self-worth, the first acknowledgement of this is from our parents, right? It's from the people that bring us into this world, in our conscious memory at least. In our subconscious is rather maybe the astrals of the demiurgic entity running the astrals, right? The narcissistic abuse that we may actually face in the astrals, the abandonment of having to leave our families in the astrals, the other kindred souls at least, and having to come here. It's also a sort of abandonment. So that may be stuck with us, right? And then our spirit likely remembers the true love, the true source realms of unity, of unification, right? So that's also embedded within us, the real part of us. Whereas this construct of the ego, the mind, it gets programmed and shaped the moment we enter this world, right? And we see, usually, from my perspective, my experience, from what I've noticed with others, there are, real spirit beings, not necessarily NPCs, because NPCs seem to have a very normal life, as if nothing happens to them, which is weird, but makes sense, right? So people that are not privy to anything more don't have that high fluctuation of positivity and negativity, joy and suffering, in a sense, right? They're not as extracted of their energy, because they're in turn the ones extracting energy from others, if that makes sense. So we come into this world and we more than likely land in some sort of traumatized bloodline, right, that we planned, which we probably did, but we were likely coerced into it. And we have traumatized parents, right, that more than likely did not deal with their inner children in any way. And now all of a sudden you're, at the time, outer child, I guess. It will later be shaped into your inner child to be very fractured and traumatized. And for those that have direct experience with this, it will result in traumatic relationships with others, right? Whether they become the avoidant attachment style or the anxious attachment style, and in between those would be the secure. Now, of course, when the avoidant and the anxious meet together, right, when they meet one another, what they're reflecting to each other is that insecure relationship that they had with their parents. So the anxious will be very likely to have been neglected in some way, just like the avoidant. They more than likely were neglected or abused, whereas the anxious adopts the mentality that they must go and do their best to constantly get what they need, to control the situation, right? To fight for love, fight for their needs, because the world taught them that they need to put in work to be loved, that they're not enough, right? And that's been manifesting throughout their lives. Whereas the avoidant, same sort of neglect and self-worth, but now all of a sudden they've shut everything and everyone out, and they refuse to feel, right? I've fallen in both categories, of swung in both sides of the pendulums, so I've experienced with both, and I can understand now from a greater perspective. It's funny, I don't know if it's just me or everyone does this, but it's like we go to each side to experience it, trying to figure out the right solution. We take each pill, both the blue pill and the red pill, until we realize No pill is the answer, and both pills definitely aren't the answer, because if we just realize both pills are not the answer or an illusion, then taking both at once will just create a more deep-seated illusion potentially. So no pill is the answer. No fight. No outer chase. No outer even repulsion of it was likely the answer. Rather, it's a deep inner connectedness to oneself, right? So in order to heal these attachments, one has to stop chasing the love. One has to stop doing the things that we think are gonna get us that love. So every desire, everything, every action that we put forth in the world is likely to get two things, right? Joy, love, or some sort of satisfaction, right? So one of these two, three things that I mentioned that brings us that safety and that inner need that was not fulfilled as a child, right? So more than likely, these people just need to be seen. The person that's always, let's say, anxious, controlling, critical, was abandoned in terms of their emotions as a child, because they weren't seen, they weren't seen, they weren't acknowledged. Their emotions weren't validated, their opinions weren't validated, and this can happen to men and women, but the avoidant then likely also wasn't seen. His nets were not, his needs were not met fully, and he associates any sort of relationship with danger, right? Constantly neglecting the other person, pushing them away because they think they're gonna leave. So there's also a fear of abandonment again there, but it's a different form, right? Two sides of the same coin. So how does this relate to the world, to this samsara like place, right? The reincarnation. Well, when the avoidant and the anxious meet, right, when the two insecure people come together in a relationship, it forms a toxic cycle. These people will break up, get back together, break up, get back together, and in this time what they experience is a very high wavelength of positives and negatives. Just like we've been talking in terms of the duality here, and how these entities use us to extract those emotions. Because you don't extract emotions from something that goes like this. You extract very good, loose energy from something that goes up and down, huge waves, right? Think of a dam. You're not gonna have huge electricity coming from that dam if the river is barely moving. It's a lake rather. It's just standing still, right? It's that huge force coming in, the huge wave that then pushes the turbine and creates the electricity, right? So in those intense ups and downs of this toxic attraction, and even any attraction that has that is toxic in my opinion. Any attraction that has ups and downs, there should not be, in my opinion, an attraction. It should be, oh, I like you, but not because you give me this feeling inside my body that feels reminiscent of my childhood. I like you because you compliment me. I like, not like flatter me, but like compliment, as in you add to my life. You have things that are a benefit to me. I do things naturally, you do things naturally, and when we work together, we do things better naturally, if that makes sense, right? But no, instead what people feel is a chemical reaction in their body that triggers their brain of the memories also held in their body and their brain from that childhood, and they associate that with that first feeling of love that they had from their parents, right? So this toxic attraction creates a mini samsara, a mini reincarnation trap. So that's why I came to the realization that this reincarnation trap is just a larger fractal of that parental narcissistic toxic abuse that we suffered as children, because they were in turn abused themselves. And who is the abuser here then? Who is the narcissist versus the empath? And that being an empath doesn't mean you're any better. Being an empath likely means you're a people pleaser, you're codependent, right? You don't know how to set your boundaries. So being an empath is not an identity that you should be glorifying. It's saying to yourself that, hey, I'm just gonna be a victim all my life. I'm going to, have that mentality and always blame the narcissist. Oh, well, if we didn't have any narcissists in the world, then I wouldn't be abused. Well, you don't have to let that narcissist in your life, right? And that's why that polarity exists, because of the dynamic, right? So in a sense, we as spirit are those empaths, and the abuser likely is this world, or the demiurge behind it, who was born like that. It's not his fault. He was born ignorant. He was born a narcissist. He was born traumatized because of his mother, likely Sophia, right? Her creation was inherently deficient, inherently flawed. But now, being the spirit that came in here, likely a part of her, likely a part of the true source, now we are creating the dynamic for that narcissist to abuse, right? So now it's being met at the right polarity. And now, in that sense, if we don't heal, if we don't become secure in ourselves, just like in the relationship, which meant what? It meant catering to our own needs, finding our own true spirit, our inner source spirit, so then we don't need anything outside of ourselves anymore to fulfill us. So it's the same teachings as spirituality, as likely more the Buddhists and non-dualists, that express the fact that all your desires are the root of your suffering. And we can even reverse this. The root of your suffering is because it's causing your desires. So if you constantly feel the need to be appreciated, let's give an example, you will then go and become, let's say, a model. You'll try your best to be famous in some way, and you'll get that ego hit. Oh yeah, they love me. Oh yeah, look how much they appreciate me for my body or for whatever I say, or this and that. Oh, I'm loved. What do you mean? And then the first criticism you get that goes against that says, no, you're no good, that triggers that deep-seated pain, right? Then that comes to the surface. The true inner child comes to the surface and has to, even though you get millions of likes, just took one person. This one person outweighed these millions of likes. So that cycle repeats and repeats and repeats. And that's what is meant by the desires. These desires will never truly fulfill you. This world will never truly fulfill you, because all it's really doing is reaffirming your toxic patterns, your subconscious programming. So get this, you come here, you are then subconsciously programmed to be attached to this place, and then the world reaffirms that programming for you, so that you can never break out of that belief system until you truly wake up and remember and tap into that inner spirit. And just like the relationships, you're never going to attract a different partner. You can keep breaking up with people, breaking up and looking for love. Oh, what if I look for this, and if I look for this green flag and that green flag, and stay away from all the red flags and push these other people away, blah blah blah. Still never gonna work out, because you're gonna keep attracting the same partner over and over again, until you stop and you look in the mirror, which your partner was really like a mirror, but now you're looking at yourself and not blaming the partner or ex-partners for anything that happened, right? So you cannot blame the world, because it's merely reflecting everything to you. Although we can, in a sense, also attribute blame for the programming of the world, that it is designed to do just that, to reflect that programming that we were given, right? So our true essence is not like that. It's the programming, it's the codes implanted in us, because we didn't have much of a choice. Imagine how much of a choice you have coming in at birth, being programmed, and then saying, whoa, out of your own free will, what free will? Psychology largely explains that we're a product of our environments. And I go even deeper and say we're a product of the astrological, neurological programming upon coming into this matrix, right? And then you can say, well, no, your free will was because you chose that lesson. But that lesson is never ending. if you're catching my drift, right? The point of that lesson was not actually for you to learn, but it was for you to never get out of it, never get past it. So if our relationship to others is a smaller fractal of our relationship with this world, that means in order to break free of the world, we have to stop feeding it the highs and the lows, and that's going to be apparent in your relationships, right? Once a healed person becomes healed, they stop looking for love, they stop looking for any sort of validation, because they have everything they need. They're connected to the true spirit. So that makes sense in terms of also the exterior world. You stop chasing desires because you already feel like you have everything you need. You're satisfied, and you can then just maybe play, create, whatever, be in the world but not of it, in a sense. Still participate, but you know you're not going to necessarily get anything out of it. You're just kind of along for the ride until the ride ends, right? It's time to leave. So likely that is the, if not the true way, then one of the ways that you stop this cycle. Okay, because it's a loop, it's a cycle, and it's not meant to end until you say so. So until you, the empath, the spirit, start affirming your boundaries and stop saying yes to pain, because that's the number one sign of a toxic relationship. You keep saying yes to pain. You keep allowing that pain to manifest. You keep saying yes to this world. Oh, maybe if I just get more money, maybe if, you know, I just find the right woman, if I get that nice car, if that nice house, and that creates the opportunity for pain to come in, because then it says, well, you're not gonna get that house. Oh, there are gonna be some obstacles along the way, and you know, all these lessons and pain. Oh, but wait, look at this really nice bump. Will move you up in status, and you're gonna feel really extreme joy, and then pain, and then more joy, right? So the snake continues to move, the sine wave continues to fulfill itself. So yeah, hope that made sense. But it's a cycle, right? It's largely a cycle, and that white light is, of course, involved, it seems, at the end of the cycle to perpetuate that, because you do have that small window of opportunity to say no, right? To fully stand in your boundaries. But you know, where do you go from there? Because you've never really learned to connect with that true spirit, so you're not going to know that you need to go towards the true spirit. You're gonna still end up likely in another realm of this matrix, another part of the astral realm somewhere, where, oh, you don't like Earth, we'll just put you on another planet, another matrix, in a sense, right? You'll get the same trick over and over again, because somewhere along the way we forgot. Okay, all right, let me know what you thought in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.